Danielle, thank you for joining me here. You are currently running for City Council. Could you go ahead and introduce yourself to the Bloomington residents?
Sure. Well, Alex, thank you so much for having me. So as you said, my name is Danielle Robertson, and I am running for Bloomington City Council at large. And so what that means is no matter where you live in Bloomington, you can vote for me. My husband and son and I moved to Bloomington about 5 years ago this fall, and we've just loved it ever since, right? I was born and raised here in the Twin Cities. I attended Minnetonka High School. Didn't love school at the time, didn't love high school, but I loved learning. And so then a couple years later, I found myself at Normandale Community College, and I am forever grateful for Bloomington and Normandale and all the things it gave me. From there, I found the drive to move on to get my bachelor's in the sociology of law, criminology, and deviance from the from the University of Minnesota. After that, I did go on to law school at William Mitchell, serving with AmeriCorps for a year in between in Minneapolis. I'm a licensed attorney. I've been licensed to practice in Minnesota since 2016, but for the past 5 years, I've been a stay-at-home mom. Our son, Leon, is just starting kindergarten this fall, and so now I've got a whole bunch of time to work for the folks at Bloomington. So
all right. So that brings us kind of right up to, what do you think brought you into start this journey into public service?
That's a fantastic question. So I would say that my journey into an appreciation for public service actually started as a child. It's a big value in my family, immediate family and extended family. Grandparents on both sides were very big in their communities, served a lot, worked a lot. And so even I remember as a small child, my grandmother taking me along to do a shift at the food shelf that she worked at with her church and explaining to me that some people have to choose between food and soap or food and toilet paper. That's a real thing that families, and I as a child didn't quite understand that that equation yet, right? But so it's a value that's been instilled in me since I was a young person, and my grandfather, lovely people, may they rest in peace, said the same thing, there but for the grace go I, right? Yep. We are lucky because we are lucky and we are blessed. Not to say we don't work hard, but you never know. And so it could certainly just be you or I. And so from there, like I said, grandparents, extended family parents, instilled in me the value that it's, we're all here to help. We can all do something, right?
Sure, absolutely.
And so we can all serve in big ways, little ways, right? Public service is everything as big as serving on the city council at large in the 4th largest city in the state of Minnesota, all the way to holding a door open for someone who needs a little bit of a hand. Maybe we say hi to someone who's on a street corner, right? Or more if we can. But I think that public service is really important to me. It's really important to my family, and I'm very lucky to say very important to Bloomington as well.
Sure, that's great. What do you think is currently missing from the current array of candidates?
That's a great question. I'll say I think everyone's doing great, right? I've had several folks ask, what do you think? What do you think of this? What I've said so far is just like in school, we either started at an A+ or a 0. I think we're all starting at an A+.
Sure.
I'm proud of all of us for putting ourselves out there. One thing I think is missing, and something I could bring to the table, is a great deal of experience in working with folks who maybe don't have the exact same opinion as I do, and being able to resolve something for the greater good. So I mentioned that I'm a licensed attorney. I worked for several years as a student. I clerked for the 1st District Public Defender's Office, a phenomenal experience that I'm forever grateful for. And a lot of the work we did centered on being able to get things done in the best interest of our client, right? Or in someone else's case, the best interest of the state.
Sure.
And, so we maybe don't have the exact same methods for getting there, but we all have the same goal, right? And that's to resolve the situation and to make sure that our community is safe, happy, and healthy, right?
Yeah, that's great.
And so, yeah.
Okay. How would you define the role of a city council member?
Fabulous question, Alex. I would define the role of a city council member as a city leader who listens, right? It's extraordinarily important that all council members and city leadership have the confidence in themselves to lead when needed.
Sure.
It's also really important that they are able to set their egos down enough to listen to community members, right?
Sure.
We have a ton of potential for ideas, for drive. We are really a wonderfully lucky and blessed city. And so as long as like I said, a city leader is listening and learning, I think that the growth is exponential, right? And so the role of a city council member is to listen and to lead.
Sure, that's great. That kind of leads into the next question of how do you think you can best represent the people that may or even may not vote for you?
Fantastic question. My goal is to represent everyone. Everyone deserves a safe, happy life
Sure.
In a healthy community, regardless of whether or not that person and I would vote the same or would have the same opinion on a current event or a TV show or whatever it is. Like I mentioned, my experience in the public defender's office, it was my job to zealously advocate for people for whom I did certainly not always agree with their actions, right? But my job wasn't to judge. My job was to resolve the issue and do my best, again, for myself and the client. And so I think that it's extremely important that we pay attention to people who don't just think like us, right? And make sure everyone feels heard, everyone feels represented. And like I said, there's tons of potential everywhere. And so there may be someone who maybe wouldn't seem like that person and I would be best friends at first. They may have some really great ideas. So I don't want to miss out or leave anything on the table by not interacting with them.
Yeah, that's great. So you mentioned your experience in law. How would you go about drawing consensus with your fellow council members?
That's a really good question. So again, I think it's really important that you're able to lead and listen, right? I'm not going to lie, I have strong values. And when I have a strong opinion on something, it's pretty clear to everyone in the room what that is. But that's not to say I'm not open to learning. I'm certainly open to listening. And sometimes it may be, well, this isn't perfect, but it is the best solution we can get done for the most people. I think that oftentimes you'll find that can be a solution that many of us can live with. And I think so long as the group of us could keep that in mind and remember that, I think we can go very far. And again, it's not my job to cajole anyone or intimidate anyone in a bad way. But it would be part of my job to persuade my fellow council members to see my side of things.
Absolutely. So what do you think are some of the top issues facing Bloomington right now?
Great question. So when folks ask me what are my big things for Bloomington, what are my big three? First and foremost, one Bloomington for all, right? When we moved to Bloomington, we loved every single thing about it. The one, I wouldn't even say negative, but the one thing we heard a few times was that there can be a bit of a divide, or some people feel that there can be a bit of a divide, east-west, along socioeconomic lines, right? And so one of my big goals, my big vision for Bloomington would be one Bloomington for all, that we all feel, no matter where you are, east, west, young, old, we all feel part of the same city, right? Second to that, maybe not second to that, but moving down the list, in no particular order, safe and affordable housing for all. And that means more than just new builds, which oftentimes when you hear affordable housing, I think a lot of people might think that, right? But affordable housing means housing people can afford for everyone across the income spectrum, right? It may mean a new development. It may mean investing in our existing stock of naturally occurring affordable housing. It also may mean helping seniors stay in the homes they're in now and help them afford that home, right? There's many ways to go about that, but that is a belief of mine that frankly will never change. Everyone deserves safe and affordable housing. That's a basic human right.
Sure, and that's actually slides right into the next question about how do you think you would approach like zoning and development in order to balance neighborhood concerns?
Sure, that's a wonderful question. Bloomington is so diverse, not only in all the people who are here, but just in geographic location, right? We're a very big city. We've got denser spots. We've got more wider open spot, greener areas and more concrete. We're really, really lucky to have a big mix. That said, I do think that there are spots in Bloomington and many, many people in Bloomington who are open to some development, maybe some denser housing, especially right around transit. I I think that's a discussion that we can have, right? We don't have to agree to anything today,
Sure.
but there's no harm in talking about what our options are in the future.
Okay. So moving on a little bit from housing, public safety is a big concern, obviously. What's your vision for how the police should interact with the community?
That's a fantastic question. Thank you. My vision for how police would interact with all the folks here in Bloomington. Again, everyone deserves to feel safe in their neighborhood, right? And so there's many folks, not just police, right, but fire, EMT, public health. There's all kinds of people who make that happen, right? And specifically concerning the police, like I said, everyone deserves to feel safe in their own neighborhood. People deserve to feel safe doing their jobs. The community members and police officers need to be able to, again, work together enough to be able to move forward or at least address the issues in front of us. I would be remiss to say, or I would regret if I did not say, that my particular background and my privilege as a white woman who has been born and raised in the Twin Cities lends a different lens to policing and community safety. And so I just want to say that to make sure that to let the community know I'm aware of my privilege.
Sure.
I also do think, given my background working in criminal defense, I think I have a unique perspective, and I would hope that that would lend itself well to being able to help reach some kind of consensus, perhaps between community members and police.
Sure, that's great. So the next question is more so about how Bloomington should grow. Do you think that there should be more of like an emphasis on the way that Bloomington is developing, or should we be more conservational? Should we focus on infrastructure renewal since we have so many large thoroughfares that come through Bloomington? What do you kind of see as a long-term vision there?
That's interesting. So I strongly believe in conserving Bloomington's natural resources. It is one of the things we are very lucky to be able to brag about, and many of us do, and we should. So we're very, very lucky, and I think conserving those natural resources is extraordinarily important. Once you let that cat out of the bag, once those are gone, very difficult to get them back, right? So I think that is a part of the way in which we need to view that. That said, I also think investing in infrastructure is extraordinarily important. We do have many major thoroughfares. We have, again, we're very diverse, both socioeconomically and geographically. And so we have many areas where if we do not maintain those, it will cost us more later, right? Either in time, money, heaven forbid, safety. And so while spending money isn't always fun, and we should always be very responsible with spending, sometimes we do need to invest some of that money. But we know that investing in public infrastructure gets us a big return. So.
Sure, absolutely. So on the topic of conservation, where do you think Bloomington can excel and kind of enhance the efforts that we're making to have conservation? Obviously, we have, like the Three Rivers Park District for the Highland area. What else do you think we can do for conservation in Bloomington?
Excellent question. I have so many things I could say. I'll try and limit myself.
Sure.
So first and foremost, I think Bloomington really does an excellent job. It's one of the reasons, one of the many reasons, but one of the things that we loved as soon as we moved here. So I think Bloomington does an excellent job. I do think that, and you'll pardon me, I'm getting so excited thinking about so many things. So if I ramble, please bring me back.
Sure.
I do think that preserving natural resources is extraordinarily important. We need, and I apologize if I'm answering the wrong question now, but we need to preserve those natural resources. It's something that matters to everyone. It's an amenity. I should say it's an amenity not only to people that are here, but it draws people in, right? And so I think that is one of the things we do very, very well. I think that Bloomington as a city does a great job of encouraging residents to compost. There's programs where you can, if you're reducing water use, right, that can benefit you. There's all sorts of things that we do very well. I do think the city can encourage use of those programs. I think we do a great job marketing. More can't hurt. Again, we need to be judicious, with how we're spending those dollars. But really letting residents know about those programs can't hurt. It's always a good thing. Let's highlight the good things we're already doing. I do also think that and maybe this is a pie in the sky idea, but I think there's nothing wrong with encouraging local businesses to be environmentally responsible. And maybe there's some talk of an incentive, right? Everyone's doing their best these days, and so sometimes we really just need to be able to provide a little bit of incentive to make some of those things happen. So I think we're doing really great now, but I think that encouraging residents to use the programs we have in place already, and then seeing how we could work with local businesses to improve would be great.
All right, perfect. That's great. So the next question is a little bit of a shift. So how do you think the city council can help with voter engagement? So like, for people that feel left out or disenfranchised by the voting system, how do you think the city council can help with engagement and outreach attempts to bring those people back in?
Sure. So I have, ever since I turned 18, I've been excited about, right? I voted in, I think I missed a couple primaries, but it's always been I've always seen it as an exciting privilege to have, right? And I use the word privilege very carefully, recognizing that it is the right to vote. But as we all know, things can change on a dime. So it's a privilege I'm very excited and honored to be able to exercise. So first, I would love for the city to be able to inspire that same type of feeling in folks, right? But in order to do that and inspire that type of feeling in folks, we need to give them something to be inspired about, right? I think we also need to meet people where they're at. There's many ways to communicate with people in person, social media, post office, mail-in letters to your house, community events here at Civic Plaza. There's all kinds of ways to engage. And I think that we really should do our best to, again, meet folks where they're at, go to the people. There's plenty of people who would love to participate. We need to make it easier for them to participate. It shouldn't be hard to vote. It shouldn't be hard to know who's running for council. It shouldn't be hard to meet with them. It shouldn't be hard to contact them. Voting is something I would love for everyone to be as excited about as I am. And so in order to do that, we got to make it less red tape. Make it easier for folks.
On a similar topic, obviously government transparency is very important for people. How do you think you would go about encouraging and supporting transparency within the city council?
Ooh, great question. So to your point, extraordinarily important that we know what's going on, right? We elect people because we are entrusting them with, driving the ship, right? And so I can think of nothing more important than someone being able to know what I voted for, why, all those kinds of things. And so I think, and please forgive me, certainly to any council members if they're doing these sorts of things right now, I don't want to speak ill of anyone, but engaging directly with community members, email, phone, offering times to meet with people, which I know everyone is so busy that is not easy to do. But there's ways we can do it. There's ways we can make it happen. I would want voters to feel comfortable to me if I were to earn their vote, coming to me as a council member and saying, hey, I saw this. What's that about? And then I will give them an explanation, right? I owe them that. Because again, if they were to entrust me with that leadership, the least I can do is tell someone how I voted and why.
Absolutely. So to add a little extra onto that, a follow-up question to that, you mentioned, to put words in your mouth, open office hours. Do you think that would help you be responsive to the constituents?
Sure, I do. If for no other reason, because heaven forbid if I don't reply to someone, and I would hate to make them take time out of their day, but if they needed me to respond and I hadn't, come in and see me, right? And have those, to your point, open office hours, have those be displayed. They're not a secret. It's like, hey, every Thursday I'm available at this time, or if you email me on Wednesday, you'll get a response by Friday morning. If I were to be privileged enough to get this job, again, the least I can do is give folks a chance to talk to me about my job performance.
Sure, absolutely. So what does ethical leadership look like for you when it comes to like conflicts of interest or political pressure? Obviously, in the whole theme of transparency, a lot of people that are very involved in watching the government think that everything's corrupt. How do you think you can help promote the idea that government is healthy?
That's a fantastic question. So I truly do believe that it is healthy, right? And I would hope that if I allowed enough transparency and I offered that to voters, that they would be able to see that as well and feel comfortable and safe with that. I don't think it's unreasonable for people to not trust government right now.
Sure.
That makes intellectual sense to me, right? I am hopeful enough that I think it still works, and I think we can do a lot of good stuff, right? But these are scary times, I'm not gonna lie. And so, like I said, a little bit ago, we need to give people something to be inspired by. We need to give people something to be hopeful for. And I think that, I know that, if I were elected to council, I could help do that.
That's great. So you mentioned this idea of being hopeful, giving people something to be encouraged by. What do you see for at the end of your term? What does that look like? What is your accomplishments after those years? What do you want to kind of hang your hat on?
Oh gosh. Oh, so many things. I would love 4 years from now, as I'm gearing up for re-election, I would love 4 years from now to be able to say that we have made huge strides in making sure that everyone in Bloomington knows where they're going to sleep, knows where the next meal come from, knows that they'll be able to pay their rent, knows that their kids are safe. I realize that's a huge goal, very lofty, but I don't think it's impossible. I know that when we prioritize things, we can get things done.
Sure.
We need to put dollars towards our priorities. And so yeah, in 4 years, I would love to be able to say that we've, there are many fewer people in Bloomington, or zero preferably, without permanent housing, right? I would love for us to be able to say that we have invested in public infrastructure while being able to make sure we maintain a reasonable cost of living. Services cost money, there's no way around that, but we also need to be careful and very deliberate with our spending. And so again, I think we can do that. And so in 4 years, I'd love to say that we're all happy, healthy, and that we all love Bloomington.
All right. Well, Danielle, it's been very nice having you in. Yes. One final question for you. What is your message to voters? What is your selling point?
My selling point is this. No matter where you live, I believe that you deserve a happy, healthy life in a safe community, regardless of what you believe. I am not here to tell you what to believe. I'm not here to tell you what to think. I am here to make sure that you, your neighbors, your family, your loved ones are safe, and that I'd love to say that we all can get along. Sometimes it's not even about getting along and everyone being best friends.
Sure.
It's about all of us being respectful and getting things done for the most people. And I believe that here in Bloomington, if we all work together, we can do great things. So,
all right. Well, any last comments you want to make, or anything else that you think I missed?
No, as you can see, I'm very chatty, so I could go on for another hour. Truly,
Okay.
Thank you so much for having me. I really, really appreciate the opportunity. I think this is a wonderful thing that we're doing for voters, so thank you so much for having me.
All right,
I appreciate
sounds good.
it.
Of course.
Thank you, Alex.